Hello everybody, my name is Jackson and welcome back to Stonefisk and Chill. Today on Stonefisk and Chill, I will be ranking the top 5 most overrated board games of all time. If you don't know, if you're not very in-depth in the board games, you can still watch this video because a lot of board games are very popular that are on this list. um, and also I will be, saying like a game you should play instead of these overrated board games because yeah, because some of them aren't as fun to play as, or there's better alternatives. But anyway, on to number 5. Number 5, we have Monopoly. Monopoly is one of the classic board games where, you buy stuff, you buy whatever, pay rent, whatever, you need a lot of money. But you see, I get the Star Wars version because I don't know what my regular Monopoly is. But Monopoly is it's a fun game. Like, I'm not taking that away from it, but the game's very long. It's not something like you don't see people going like, "You guys want to play a game of Monopoly today?" Like no one does that. Like Monopoly, it's fun maybe once a year max, but you just it's just like I don't know. There's just something about Monopoly that isn't it's not like a very easy game to pick up and play. Like if you play it the correct way, it can take many hours. And there's just better alternatives. I'll show you some better alternatives. Here we got Monopoly Fortnite. You see, Monopoly Fortnite is a much better game than Monopoly. Monopoly Fortnite has you going around. There's like storm cards, chess cards. You see here. And it's overall, there's health, you gotta survive, okay, I'm joking, okay, calm down. An actual better game to play instead of Monopoly is Catan. If you know anything about board games, you probably know what Catan is, but if you haven't played a board game since you were the age of 7, you know, you might not know what Catan is, or if you don't know me in general. Catan is a game, it says right here, trade, build, settle. The point of the game is to collect victory points as you... I might be showing video of the board game itself. I don't know, here's this instead. Where you have to accumulate victory points using building settlements, getting development cards. Every turn you get resources and stuff, and there's also a whole trading thing where you can trade with other people, which makes the game more fun. It could also make the game a lot longer, but Catan is a very fun game. If you've never played it before, you should play it. So yeah, Catan. It's a much better game to Monopoly. Although it can take like 2-ish hours, Monopoly can easily take longer. And it isn't as repetitive as Monopoly's series. Monopoly, you're only going over like a small area of a board. This game, you got all this area to explore. Although there is a lot of RNG, but like even if the RNG is on your side, you can still do well in Catan. Anyways, on to number 4. So number 4, we have The Game of Life. The Game of Life is a classic game where you basically go through an entire life, and you gotta get the most money to win, I think. Yeah, because I remember how to play The Game of Life. So yeah, The Game of Life, the reason why, I think it's a very overrated game is this spinner right here. Like, it's almost Mario Party-ish, where there isn't much choice to the game. Like you can't really obviously you have choices to decide what you want to do, but the spinner really restricts a lot of gameplay that would be interesting in an actual it would be interesting in an actual board game. Cause the spinner is the big reason why this game is overrated in my opinion. Spin to win. See, it's advertised right here. I mean, a lot of people like spinners. The only thing I like a spinner in is Twister, cause that's much more of a fun game. But I don't have my alternative game, but instead of the Game of Life, if you want something like it where you travel through life, get the Pursuit of Happiness. The Pursuit of Happiness board game where there's a lot more choice, I guess you could say. I'll probably be showing it right now on video. Pursuit of Happiness, it's just a much better going through life game, and it's a lot more sophisticated than the Game of Life where you're just spinning a wheel and then moving that amount of spaces. Anyway, on to number 3. Number 3, we have the classic game of Risk. You see, my reasoning for not liking Monopoly is obviously partially the game length. Risk can take a much longer game. Risk, it's not a game for everyone. I don't even know if I've ever played an actual game of Risk before. Like, yes, the characters I have this version, so like there's like the little figures are cool to play with, I guess, but there's that. But yeah, Global Conquest, there's a bunch of games like Risk. And Axis and Allies, you can kind of say the same thing, although Axis and Allies is, in my opinion, probably a better game than Risk. Yeah, Risk, you have to maneuver troops around the map. It is a fun game for what it is. But the game you should play instead, it's also another game I don't have, but I've played it before. It's called Stratego. It's kind of... Stratego is a very fun game where like you have to go around and find the... I forgot who you have to find, but you have to find someone, and there's all different like rules and stuff, and there's traps, and it's all like in like a little board. It's a lot more of a more fun history game. I've always had a lot of fun playing with that. So yeah. Anyways, on to number 2. For number 2, I don't know where my copy of the game went, but number 2 is Cards Against Humanity. Listen here, Cards Against Humanity. I mean, this is going to be a very hot take. I'll probably show what Cards Against Humanity is for those who don't know. It's a very basic game. There is a lot of creativity in what you can come up with in Cards Against Humanity. It's a more adult based game, which the reason why it's overrated is because, I mean, everyone's gonna have the same jokes. Like, you know what I'm talking about if you've played Cards Against Humanity. There isn't much, like, yes, you can make it diverse, but like, come on, we're all gonna say the same jokes anyway when creating our sentences and whatever. A game to play instead of Cards Against Humanity is definitely Apples to Apples. Apples to Apples, it's more of a kid-friendly version, but it's still like, it has some very challenging words and concepts, I guess you could say. I feel like, although it's not as creative, I feel like there's a much more variety in what you can do, like with your words. And another game I have, hold on, it's over here. Let me go grab it. This is taking so long. The Stupid Deaths. Stupid Deaths. It's kind of similar to Cards Against Humanity, kind of, not really, but it's a true or false game where you're seeing how people die. Obviously, Stupid Deaths is the title. You see how people die, and you have to say if it's true or false. Then just like a whole board you can go around. You have to run away from the Grim Reaper. So yeah, that's another fun alternative to Cards Against Humanity. Cards Against Humanity is very basic in general. Still fun, sometimes, not really, but yeah. So, summary, we have Monopoly, Game of Life, Risk, and Cards Against Humanity. Some of the most overrated games of all time. But here is the most overrated board game of all time. Number 1. Candyland. Candyland's the most overrated board game of all time. I don't even want this out of my. I don't even want that in my site. Candyland. Like if you go around and ask people out on the street what their favorite board game of all time is, a lot of them are going to say Candyland. You should see, like, I look on like YouTube and Instagram and other sites, and people are always like, Candyland's my favorite board game of all time. Like Candyland, like if Candyland's your favorite board game of all time, you haven't played a board game since you were 7 years old. Candyland is so basic. You just get a card and then you just move that amount, like you just move the spaces. Like yes, it's for kids, okay? Like if you're 5 years old, like I'm not gonna be mad if your favorite board game is Candyland, and it like tells people or it helps teach them kids to follow directions. But Candyland is it's there's so many better board games. There's just so many better board games than Candyland. Candyland is so incredibly basic, like so basic, and it's like yes, the candy theme's fun, but like people who say Candyland is their favorite board game of all time, they're just gonna be so mad because like you just flip the cards, you go to the colors, and then there's King Gumdrop and whatever, and it. If anyone ever asked me to play a game of Candyland, I might kill them. Maybe. Anyway, I'm gonna grab this again. As you can see, the box is, torn up from how many times I threw it down the stairs before this video started. But now, let me show you every other game you can play that isn't called Candyland. Now, this may take a while to get, so.
One eternity later.
Alrighty. Here's every board game you can play instead of Candyland. Okay, this is going to take a very long time. You can play dominoes, okay? Oh, God. You can play Clue. You can play Scattergories. You can play Connect 4. You can play Splendor. You can play King of Tokyo. You can even play Ticket to Ride. Don't worry, there's many more. You can play Telestrations. You can play Space Chess. You can play Pictionary. All these are games that you perfectly acceptable to play instead of Candyland. We got Century Spice Road, Haywood Crescent, Oh, Haywood Trifecta. Hi-Ho Terrio. You could play Rummacube instead of Candyland. You could play Pie Face Showdown instead of Candyland. There's more. If you know me, you know me well. You could play The Mind instead of Candyland. You could play Sushi Go instead of Candyland. You could play Racco instead of Candyland. You could play Scrabble instead of Candyland. You could play Sequence. Oh God. Well, Sequence fell over. You could play Blueprints instead of Candyland. You could play Blockus instead of Candyland. You could play Pandemic. Get it? Because we're like in the okay. You could play Codenames instead of Candyland. You could play Jenga instead of Candyland. You could play Quadrillion instead of Candyland. I have not played this game yet, I kind of do want to learn how to play it. You could play Lattice instead of Candyland. You could build a puzzle instead of Candyland. And finally, you could play the 20th anniversary of Trivial Pursuit instead of Candyland. There you have it, everyone. There's a bunch of games you can play instead of Candyland. Hope you guys enjoyed this video on Sunfist Can Chill. This was a lot of fun to make. So yeah. Next time, comment down below what you'd like to see. I'll either do top 5 most overrated card games. Yeah, top 5 most overrated card games, or I'll do top 5 most underrated board games. Cards Against Humanity is technically a card game, so that might, make the list again because it's still overrated anyway. You forgot to mention that, but tough. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As you can see, I am a board game fan. I've always been a board game fan. If you didn't know that about me. So yeah, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. And on Discord, you can talk to me if you guys want to play board games, because I got a lot of board games. And if you see something in the video that you want to learn more about, I can help teach you how to play, or I could show how to play the game on the channel. But hold on one second. Sorry, I got Candyland. I just inhaled all the Candyland stuff. Anyways, make sure you check out other content on Fisk and Chill. See you later. Goodbye.